this special edition of Art Loft.
Every November, hundreds of authors and thousands of readers converge on downtown Miami for what has become a fall classic, the Miami Book Fair.
From the writers to the performances to the street fair, we've got a real taste of what it's like to attend one of the nation's premier literary festivals. Let's go.
Art Loft is brought to you by
Where there is freedom, there is expression. The Florida Keys and Key West.
the Miami-Dade County Tourist Development Council, the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, and the Cultural Affairs Council, the Miami-Dade County Mayor, and the Board of County Commissioners, and by the Friends of South Florida PBS.
Hi, I'm Jamani Anami.
And I'm Lolo Reskin. And from the Miami Book Fair,
This right here, this is Art Loft.
for 35 years, the Miami Book Fair has been filling the streets with book lovers and word nerds.
Now, you know it started off as Books by the Bay, but it's grown so much.
Now it's at MDC with hundreds of authors across more than a week of talks and a street fair with something for everyone.
Now, with so much going on, you might want to do a little homework before you get here.
Yeah, they've got a great website where you can download a grid of author events, a map of the street fair, so you can find everything you're looking for.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. One of the best things about the book fair is the variety of the lineup. You'll find best-selling writers of all genres, from Supreme Court judges to pop culture icons. Even first-time writers are here. Here's a look at some amazing writers. Check out what we have in store.
It's meant so much to me to hear from people from readers who say that they haven't seen their own experience of losing or questioning their faith in books until they read The Incendiaries.
I realized my ethnicity, my faith had the power to change how people treated me. And a lot of that experience came from sport and being, a kid who kind of stuck out like a sore thumb in the sport of fencing, a predominantly or historically even white sport.
It's fun just to write a good old-fashioned thriller, suspense novel, but without the heavy legal issues.
I'm here at the Miami Book Fair, and I ran into someone that I grew up watching all the time on television. It's Justine Bateman.
Hi.
Pleasure meeting you in person.
You too.
Yeah, but it's great. You have a book, so tell me about the book.
I have this book. It's called Fame, The Hijacking of Reality. And it's about the life cycle of fame, becoming what it's like to become famous, be very famous, and then have the fame fade, and how one processes that. And it's also about how society, there's my theories and then sociological theories on why society reacts the way it does at different points in that life cycle of fame.
Right.
And also, how did we get here as a society at a point where we put fame and celebrity on such a high pedestal?
Right.
And how social media sort of democratized that striving for fame for no real reason. Right? It's one thing to have fame come on when it's for a developed basket of skills and talents, and another thing to just want to be famous randomly.
Just post a picture, I'm famous, and
I know.
why?
And why?
And
what's behind that?
do you have the confidence in yourself that things could go up and down in this alternate world where you're still comfortable and balanced with yourself? Living here in Florida, we got some crazy stories out there. Now, over at the porch, Lip Service True Stories Out Loud has come up with an amazing way to tell the stories here in South Florida. Let's take a look and a listen.
I'm Nicholas Garnett, and I'm the co-producer of Lip Service True Stories Told Out Loud.
What? No.
What you're going to be seeing today is a version of what we've been doing for the last 12 years, which is asking the community, storytellers, to come out and tell true personal stories.
She said that she was in a coma for a year. Is anyone in a coma for a year?
Today's a lot less formal. We just put out the call and said, come with a story, 500 words, that's stranger than fiction. True story that's stranger than fiction. So really, we have no idea what we're going to get. And that's fun and a little scary.
Well, I'm Marta. The name of my story is The Movie Date. Internet dating is a horror show. Of course I'm going on another internet date. Tom resembles his photo. I find him right away. He's wearing a once white t-shirt with a faded Hawaiian print, ripped shorts, and flip-flops. He's ready to surf the waves or clean the garage. Tom is chatting with a young couple. Tom brought a teenage couple and grandson on our date. A newborn that is going to see the new Die Hard movie.
Martha Oppenheimer.
Live performances is another highlight of the Miami Book Fair. I caught up with a unique band of brothers who are focused on getting better together. Let's go meet the Combat Hippies.
Combat Hippies! We're an all Puerto Rican veteran theater company.
Rich countries, good. Terrorists, bad. President, good. Good. Good.
Tell me a little bit about who you guys are and how you got started.
So we're a theater company of Puerto Rican veterans. I met our artistic director, Teo Castellanos, in 2015 to just do a veterans writing workshop, and I reached out to, these are our mutual friends who joined together with just the idea of getting together and telling our stories.
And I was on board immediately.
Once a country in the shake, lock and loaded my M16 after boarding the We created a theater company from the writing workshop, and we're currently in production for a show titled Amal. Fireworks or BBIED? Rush hour traffic or a convoy to BIOP? They're still shaking.
The show delves into the topic of war from multiple perspectives. So we speak from the perspective of people who are engaged in the actual fighting, also those who are displaced by the fighting, right?
We could see the greed in Lady Liberty's eyes, lust in Uncle Sam's quivering lips, and wrath in Jim Crow's clipped wings from 1,000 miles away.
Also, too, being all Puerto Ricans, we trace our ancestry and our native culture as well.
You know, our combat experiences were very significant times in our lives, but they're a part of our story, and that we had lives before the military and we have lives afterward. Where they held a baby girl whose smile reminded me that love is pure and hope. Part of storytelling is truth and honesty and vulnerability. We began our rebellion. And also what comes with that is healing. And we all perform our own written work, and it's true to life stories, and we hope that our work really connects with folks, helps destigmatize a lot of issues facing the community, veteran community, the community at large. Stand in front of me and close my eyes. We're just excited to share our work. Aim! Fire! I joined the National Guard to feel useful, to have a purpose. I never saw a day when my job would be to fight my own people. Can you blame those who are tired of raising their arms in defeat, who choose to raise them in defense?
One of the greatest things as a parent is watching your child discover the world through books. From storytelling to art and music, Children's Alley has everything you need to inspire a lifelong love of books. I had to get my family together for this one. From our daughter Nataki, my wife Lauren, we're gonna go check this out together. You ready, Tiki?
Mr. Bra Rabbit, we're looking for a missing patch.
for my family's quilt. Can you help us find it? asked Zoe.
And me and my family got to experience some amazing storytelling for the kids, even though us adults loved it. I have the honor, the pleasure to talk to Marjoanne Kennedy. She is the author of Callaloo, The Trickster and the Magic Quilt.
Now repeat these words 3 times with me. If you ain't know where you come from, you ain't know where you gone. Can you say that with me?
Funny enough, I actually didn't like reading so much as a kid. I struggled with reading, so it probably, I got more interested in reading through like learning about history and wanting to know my own history. And really that love of history and culture started at home. My mom is from Trinidad and my dad is African American, so a lot of the storytelling was already happening in the house.
Oh, snap! Banjo!
These stories actually came about through performing it as a play, and a good friend of mine from high school, he came and saw it, and he ended up illustrating it. We turned that first play into a book, which was about my culture, being Trinidadian.
Oh, well, don't worry, kids.
So it's really about helping young people see themselves in print and these stories with all these characters that they can relate to right off the bat.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's the thing, for me, these cultures and these stories is part of our oral tradition.
Bro Wolf was terribly sad.
So I'm excited because I can read this to my daughter and we can talk about all this, and matter of fact, it looks like her.
Oh, great, and
Yeah.
it's funny because the characters, since we've created them, we start to see them out in real life,
right?
because the characters are really based off of, who we were as kids. Our main character, Winston, is actually based off of my older brother.
Bro Rabbit was amazed by the beauty of the quilt.
Keep up the great work.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, for sure.
From spoken word to haiku to verses packed with onomatopoeia, poetry is as old as time. Yet today's poets still relate, evoking emotions and visions with their words. Let's take a look at some of the fresh voices on the national poetry scene.
Hi, I'm Joss Charles. I'm a poet and most recently author of Field. The project started of me trying to experiment with putting together Middle English and a sort of text-speak contemporary, and sort of to see what would emerge. And there's a poem near the end that is probably my personal favorite that I can speak to some. There is this month in November of 2015 in which 3 friends of mine who are all trans women died. So I was very sad, and mourning. That month I was turning 27, and all these things sort of coalesced into this moment in which the project sort of shifted. This is number 57. Tonight, I would love to write the moth in the garden, to grieve it. And as a matter of form, did you know, not a month goes by a tran I know doesn't die. Just shy of 27, it's such a pleasure to be alive in this trembled suit you lent. Shock is a structured response, a word lost in the mouth of keepers. And you thumb at the moth, a dozen bees. I tethered these nights. I gathered so many trees.
I'm Dominique Christina, and I'm a writer and a poet. So I was looking up the etymology of the word anarchy, and I found this name with an asterisk, Anarcha, and decided to track her down, and discovered that she was being written about as a means to discuss a doctor, J. Marion Sims, who is presently regarded as the father of modern-day gynecology. And he has that designation because of his torturous experiments on enslaved women during chattel slavery. Anarcha negotiated more than 34 surgical procedures at his hands, all without the benefit of anesthesia. The first poem I'll read is very short. It's called Dr. Sims Makes Something New, and this is really when he was right at the part where he was going to invent the precursor to what would become the speculum that's used in gynecological exams. What should happen most always is invention. There is no wider mystery in the universe than that of woman. What salt and bones she's got, she is a composition of afterthought, a borrowed rib if you know your Bible. She is so easily disassembled. I take the ruined stock of Eve, the wilted petals, the spent flesh, and bring it wire, steel, restoration. Everything we delight in came first by the blood of a woman. And then, iron, and what men do after.
Hi, I'm J. Michael Martinez, and I guess I'm the author of this book. I've been writing poetry, well, I've been writing since 2nd grade. I recently found my first writings, and they are hilarious, and I realized what a quirky kid I was. This is Museum of the Americas. I began it in early February of the year that Trump got elected. And I'd experienced a lot of racism in my time. However, since that election, there was a lot more directed at me and encountering people who were wondering what I was doing in their neighborhood. I wanted to expose that and talk about that, and also talk about how racism today and how prevalent it is actually consistent historically with how Latino and Latinas have been engaged with since the early part of the 19th century. The first poem I'll read, I wrote the day that Trump was installed into office. It's POTUS 45. And this is the opening poem of the book, as I wanted to immediately declare the kind of politics that the book was going to be inhabiting. POTUS 45. This pivot point so carcass, carved servant who sweetens only mirrors, where is the milk?
We are here at the Silent Poetry Disco, and we're going to see what this is all about. Hi. Hi. So I give you my ID, yes, and then I get a pair of headphones.
You can switch the channels and listen to whatever you want to listen to.
Okay.
So switch the channels here, and it just plays poetry for you, and you can just walk around and enjoy it.
I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you.
This is Bob Eckstein. I'm at the Miami Book Fair. I'm a New Yorker cartoonist, and I'm an illustrator, New York Times bestselling author, and the world's only snowman expert. The challenges of doing it in a crowd, of course, is that everyone stops and not only wants to talk to you, but there are people who want to be put in the picture. I used to do live drawing for the Super Bowl and for the Oscars, and I'd be surrounded by these women who all of a sudden were very nice to me because they wanted to be in the picture, and they didn't realize I was actually trying to get done some painting, and it was really tricky to actually work at the same time of dealing with these people. But the other challenge is it's not going to be perfect. It's got to be a little bit of compromise. I have to be willing to share with the public, maybe not my best work, and just understand that it's all about just capturing the flavor in the moment and not always just having some kind of perfect masterpiece. And as you can see, I'm working really fast. Just took about an hour, and we're seeing the tail end of this piece. And this is actually the tent that we're in. from the other side. And it captures, I think, the mood of the Miami Book Fair. It feels exotic, feels international, very colorful. Sometimes people come by and look, for a lot of people, they're not sure what to make of it, and other people get excited to see it. I think when they see it on print, there's something more tangible, like it's a real thing. Sometimes just seeing someone draw and sketch onto a pad, it's okay, but to see it in print, it gives us some gravitas. And in the same way, when I do cartoons, I could show it to a friend or my wife, and she'll say, oh, it's okay. But when it gets printed in the New Yorker, all of a sudden, wow, that's funny. All of a sudden, it changes its status.
Writing in the literary arts can often give a voice to populations that are sometimes unheard. We're about to head over to the porch to check out Exchange for Change, an awesome program that brings poetry to people who are currently incarcerated. Let's go take a look.
My name's Kathy Claridge, and I'm the founder of the prison nonprofit writing program called Exchange for Change.
It's called Cows in the Pasture by Robert Fell. It's recreation time, better known by us detainees as pasture time.
So you're about to see performers reading pieces that were produced inside the correctional facilities from the state of Florida. So we're currently running writing programs in 2 male prisons and 2 juvenile residential centers. And all the pieces that you hear have been written by our students, and some of them are in our newly released literary journal called Don't Take the Spoon.
From the moment I made it into the holding cells beneath the courtrooms, time ticked by. I spent hours curled on a bench with my head against a pale yellow wall, carved with hundreds of names of prior unfortunates like me, listening to conversations sprinkled with hopeful overtones like naive, last-minute dreams that the executioner, instead of lowering the axe, would suddenly tear off his hood and scream, "Gotcha."
The people who will be reading today are formerly incarcerated students, we're calling them alumni, family members of currently incarcerated students, teachers who go inside the prison and run our classes, and then members from the audience who want to participate.
Our rec yard is now a crime scene. No idea how long it will remain closed, leaving us unable to graze in our pasture.
One thing that happens when you're incarcerated is that you're forgotten. And so we do programs like this to make sure that we educate the public about who the incarcerated are and try and break down some of the misconceptions and probably prejudices and stereotypes that people have about who the incarcerated are, and then also to give hope for the people inside, for them to remember that there are people on the outside who know that they're there and care and want to have a conversation with them.
Then I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder. I turned to meet the compassionate gaze of a bailiff who'd been seeing me in the courtroom since I was a juvenile. 2 tears streamed down her light ebony cheeks, glistening in an obvious display of public affection. I had to look away, my own eyes now watering. I sucked up defiance, determined to be strong now, not just for me, but for her. This bailiff whose affection for me defied her professional interest. Thank you.
You shake my nerves and you ride on my brain.
We're Patrick and the Swayzes. I mean, vintage rock and roll.
What a thrill. Goodness gracious, right from the fire. I got the love, thought it was funny.
Tell us a little bit about the kind of music you play, the vibe you bring. Who are Patrick and the Swayzes right now?
I would do vintage rock and roll. That's the best way to put it. I mean, it's just a blanketed version of the 50s and 60s, so everything there. So it's not just one genre of that time, it's all of them. So that's probably like the best way to put it. Just like vintage rock and roll and soul and Motown and just all of that.
Come on, baby. Drop me crazy. Goodness gracious, right from the fire.
And you guys kind of bring it on stage. You've got lots of instruments going on and movement.
Energy mostly, yeah.
Energy.
like to bring energy so people feel like they're dancing too with us, you know? It's a party for everyone.
Well, that's the thing about this kind of music is that, you know, obviously a lot of pop is centered around the energy of the music, so there's a lot of dancing going on, but, you know, that hasn't changed in a lot of years. You know, back then, this is what they danced to at their parties, so there's an energy that's accessible to everybody.
Thanks for joining us at the Miami Book Fair. We had an amazing time. Hope you did too.
We'd love to hear your book fair stories, so connect with us anytime online at Art Loft SFL. I'm Lulu Reskin.
And I'm Jamani Anamdi. We'll see you next time on Art Loft. Now, remember, art imitates life, so do what?
Live a beautiful life.
Peace.
Can you tell me how could you do this to me? When you let me at the game, you let me down here in there.
Art Loft is brought to you by
Where there is freedom, there is expression. The Florida Keys and Key West.
the Miami-Dade County Tourist Development Council, the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, and the Cultural Affairs Council, the Miami-Dade County Mayor, and the Board of County Commissioners, and by the Friends of South Florida PBS.